Yes, people, what's happening? Just a quick little video. If those of you that didn't see the stream that we done with myself, Fitz and Jonas, we done obviously our Manchester City all-time 11 post 2008 the takeover. Again, if those of you that are not aware of what we're doing, obviously week after week, it is the top major clubs around Europe. You know, we're just doing literally a stream on the best ever 11s that they could field from their errors. So we've done Manchester United, we've done Arsenal, Liverpool, and now Man City. And then probably on Wednesday, we're going to be doing the Chelsea one. So again, for those of you that haven't seen the Man City one, as I said, if you want to go and check that out, it's obviously in the playlist. It's on the it's obviously on part of my content on my channel. But the team that we actually went for, you know, it was actually difficult. You know, we went for a three at the back. And I think mainly went for the three at the back so we could fit in probably more attackers, you know, I would say. So the goalkeeper, you know, it was between, I would say, two of them, if we're being honest. I think Donnarumma is a top keeper, but I think it's disingenuous to try and get him in there now because he's only been there for one season. But I do believe in the future, you know, he probably will be the #1 goalkeeper for Man City. But we went for Ederson. Obviously, Ederson in goal was pretty much a no-brainer. Obviously, their most successful keeper that they've had. And obviously, with Ederson was a good keeper for me. Distribution was crazy. You know, one of the best ball-playing goalkeepers that there's probably been. And again, he was someone that set the trend of being a ball-playing goalkeeper, really, in the Premier League, like that. So he was in goal. The back three, we went with Vincent Kompany, you know, in the middle of the three, which again was no surprise. You know, Vincent Kompany for me is arguably been their best ever defender. You know, I can't really think of too many defenders that actually challenged Vincent Kompany in that regard. So he was there. And in the back, the right-sided centre-back, left-sided centre-back. The right-sided centre-back, we went with John Stones. And I think John Stones, for me, is someone that is, I think, underappreciated. If you remember John Stones first coming into Man City, he actually struggled, you know. But you can see the quality was clearly there from when they signed him from Everton. And obviously, Everton got him from Barnsley previously. So, yeah, John Stones was the right-side centre-back. And then left-side centre-back, I went with Josko Gvardiol. Now, Gvardiol, for me, is a top defender, man. Like, I don't think he's rated as highly as he should be. You know, and I do believe if he wasn't injured, Man City right now, I think they'll be closer to Arsenal. You know, I think he's that important because he can play centre-back and left-back. And he's a massive asset in terms of scoring crucial goals for City and just generally being a very, very good defender. So I think the loss of Gvardiol has actually killed Man City this season, you know, but let's see what they can do. But he was the left-sided centre-back. And then the two wing-backs, or should we say wingers, you know, we went with Riyad Mahrez and Robinho. You know, Robinho was the trendsetter for the Manchester City takeover. You know, if anyone doesn't remember, Robinho actually thought he was going to Man United, you know, but obviously ended up on the blue side of Manchester. And again, Robinho, you know, in terms of, people might look at the longevity, people might look at the fact that, did he actually win that much with City? He didn't, but what a player he was, what a talent he was. And it was between him, probably Leroy Sané. You know, if you wanted to try and get Grealish in there as well, you know, obviously I was debating quite a few players, but we actually settled on what's his name, on Robinho. And again, because we went with the three at the back, it meant that the fullbacks we tried to include in as well. But I think Kyle Walker was probably the only realistic option that we was looking at trying to get into the team. But Riyad Mahrez for me had to be in there, you know. So we went for Riyad Mahrez on the right hand side. And again, for me, Riyad Mahrez is one of the best players to play in the Premier League. You know, league title winner with Leicester. I think, did he win the Champions League with Man City, or did he just leave after that? I can't remember. I think he might have won the Champions League with City, and obviously won Premier Leagues with City as well. And what a player he was, man. And again, someone that's very underrated for me. You know, when people say who's the best left-footed right winger to play in the Premier League, You know, Mo Salah's name often gets spoken about. For me, Riyad Mahrez is 10 times clear of Mo Salah. I think Mo Salah's only in a conversation with Mahrez because of numbers, you know, and consistency of numbers is good, but Mahrez is by far the better football player, you know. So he was on the right-hand side. And in the midfield was the most difficult part, because we had two central midfielders, and then we went with the two tens and the striker. Now, for me, non-negotiables for me are Yaya Toure and David Silva. So whether you want to play Yaya in the central midfield or David Silva as the 10 or in the midfield, both of them are in there, like non-negotiables for me. You know, there's no point discussing them too much because they're two of the best players to play in the Premier League, no doubt. But the issue that we had was the other two positions. Now, for me, it was between Ilkay Gundogan, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, and then we tried to put Carlos Tevez in there as a 10 as well. Now, Tevez, when I was actually going through the other day, I couldn't get Tevez's name up because Tevez was the number 10 that I wanted to put in there just for his impact. But we actually... So for me personally, I wanted to get Ilkay Gundogan in there with Yaya Toure and have David Silva, or even put Rodri alongside Gundogan and put Yaya Toure and David Silva as the two tens. But obviously Fitz and Jonas were arguing for Kevin De Bruyne. And again, Kevin De Bruyne was a very good player for Man City. But I think the reason why Kevin De Bruyne's name does get spoken about a lot more is because of the PR, because of the media coverage that he gets. Because Ilkay Gundogan, for me, is an underrated player at Man City. You know, there was no surprise in that Ilkay Gundogan was part of Man City's team, their most successful period. And he was instrumental for them as well. The captain when they won the league title, and I believe when they won the Champions League as well. And I was trying to get Ilkay Gundogan in there because he's just a top player. And the fact that I couldn't get Tevez in there, it meant that you're choosing between some top players. And again, De Bruyne was a top player, there's no doubt in that. But because David Silva and Yaya Toure were in there, as I said, you're now juggling between Rodri, Gundogan, and De Bruyne. And then obviously you got Bernardo Silva as well. But Bernardo Silva couldn't get in there because the level was that high. So we actually settled on... I think we had Yaya. I think it was Yaya, Gundogan, De Bruyne, David Silva. I think that's what we went with, which meant that Rodri somehow missed out. But obviously that's because we couldn't get Tevez in there. And then obviously the striker, you know, for me, for me it was an easy one. You know, I know there's the likes of Erling Haaland's name will be in there. You know, Fitz made a very good case for Mario Balotelli, and you know what? Balotelli is a definite good case because of the media coverage that he got. It made a lot of fans, I believe, seem that Mario Balotelli wasn't that good. But when you actually check Balotelli in crucial big matches, you know, the impact that he had on Man City, it's clear for all to see. But the media negativity, you know, around him is probably what enabled people to think that he wasn't as good as what they initially thought, you know. And as I said, Fitz made a very good case for him. And, you know, I've always rated Balotelli as a top player. You know, Champions League winner with Inter Milan as well. But for me, it was always Sergio Aguero. You know, it was a no-brainer putting Aguero in there for me. You know, one of the best strikers to play in the Premier League. And then obviously you're missing out Erling Haaland. As I said, Haaland for me was never getting ahead of Aguero. You know, and obviously Haaland is struggling now. But, yeah, Aguero was there. But there was a case for a few other players. But, yeah, when it comes to the striking position, I think it was quite clear it was Aguero. Even if you went with two up top, you know, we was even making a case for having Balotelli and Aguero, you know. Obviously, Tevez, I couldn't enter his name in for some reason, but Tevez would have been there for me. But the team we actually went with was, as I said, Ederson in goal, the back three of John Stones, Gvardiol, and Vincent Kompany. The two wingers, Robinho and Riyad Mahrez. The midfielders, two midfielders of Yaya Toure and I think it was Ilkay Gundogan, David Silva and De Bruyne, and then you had Aguero as a striker. So that was the team we went with. But again, the full video's on there, guys. So if you want to go and check that out, by all means, they're in chapters as well. So you can see who we actually picked. But let me know what you think. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you sub to the channel, and make sure you share the channel as well. And let me know in the comments what you think of our selection of players. Do you think there's a few players that should have been included? Let me know. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy.